Finding a therapist you like takes dedicated effort. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to therapy. Our next guest is here to help us find the right person for you. Licensed therapist Sharon J. Lawrence is here to explain more. And we already said that we both have been to therapy and are products of the, have seen the success of therapy. But we also were saying, like, how do you know when you need to move on from therapy? Because that's an issue too, like.
It's like a job.
Right.
It's one of those things that you really do have to pay attention to. Like, is it working for you? Have you gotten to the point where maybe you're just not getting what you need from that particular therapist? Or maybe you need a little bit more treatment. And so being comfortable with saying, I think I've kind of come to the place where I've plateaued and I want to move on and not just stop showing up.
Right.
Yeah. So I always tell people it's okay to have that discussion because this is about you and what's best for you.
And I mean, the thing that we said, there really is no one size fits all. So let's kind of like backtrack.
Yes.
When would you say, so let's say, okay, you decided I want to find a therapist. How do you go about finding the right therapist? Because that can be hard in and of itself.
Well, we all know the internet is everyone's friend, right?
Yeah.
No one picks up an encyclopedia anymore. They barely pick up a newspaper. So social media or the internet is the best bet.
Okay.
So I would say probably one, searching Psychology Today or some type of directory that's going to help you identify a doctor or a licensed clinician where you can see their bio, see what they specialize in, see if they take your insurance, find out their location, even if they're even accepting clients at that time. Another way to find a clinician is to kind of call your insurance company. So by doing that, they have representatives who will actually do the work for you. And so they will find someone for you. They can even make that call on your behalf if you're not even sure what to ask for when you make that phone call. And so, or they will give it to you and you can do the footwork.
All right.
What happens if once you find that therapist, you go to it and all of a sudden you don't feel that connection? Now you put all this work in, that can be discouraging,
Yes.
correct?
Keep trying.
Yeah.
I've had many people come through my door and say, I met with somebody once or twice, it wasn't a good fit. And I tell them, it's better for you to keep trying to find the right person than to not do anything at all, because this really is about your overall emotional well-being. So when you stop, you actually end up suffering more. So that you got to have that courage to keep trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I remember the first time I went, I was like, well, tell me I'm right.
Right.
I was going for like justification.
Like validation
Like,
to be like, yes, I'm right.
And that's not what a therapist's job is.
No, we're not your friends.
Right.
And we don't have any magic wands, right? I know some people come in and they say, just tell me what to do. Or like you said, tell me I'm right.
Right.
And I let them know from the very beginning, I'm probably not going to agree with everything you say. I'm most likely going to challenge a lot of the thoughts that you have because I want to make sure that you're looking at it with a bigger lens so that you can address what's happening with you, especially if there's some deep-rooted issues, if there's some trauma, or maybe there's just some really dysfunctional relationships, helping people to have better relationships with their friends, their family, their spouses. So I'm going to challenge them. And they're looking at me going, I have one particular client I could think of that I used to work with that would always say, I don't like what you're saying. I go, well, you can't fire me this week, right? Next week you can fire me. And then when I say something else, she goes, you can't fire me this week, right? But she does the work. And I love that, and because you have to be committed to the process of working on
And
you.
you just said it. She
Yes.
does the work. People, I think, you want them to fix.
And they want the easy
No.
out.
It
Therapy
takes
is
work.
not that.
No.
It takes confronting your fears.
Yes.
It takes doing scary things. It takes
Correct.
confronting people that you maybe haven't and said, this isn't right.
That's right.
But that's the only way you get to the other
That's the
side.
only way. I use the analogy for clients when they first come in that we are driving the train together, and I'm that second conductor. You're always driving. I'm checking the doors, I'm checking for safety, I'm collecting tickets, but I will never drive the train for you. The minute you stop the train, we need to assess where you are in this moment.
For someone that's watching right now that maybe, we've talked about, we talked about Britney Spears earlier. I mean, that's one thing that I think a lot of the celebrities, we're kind of seeing, okay, like everyone has something. You know what I mean?
That's right.
if someone's out there and saying, well, no, I can just talk to a friend, or and all of that is good, why would you recommend maybe someone seeking, either counseling or therapy?
Well, one, because you want someone who's neutral, who is not going to be biased, like you said. You don't want that friend who's going to just agree with you. You want someone who can really say, okay, I see the points, but how does this benefit you? Is it causing more harm? Is it actually helpful? What is it that you think would be best? Because what we're doing is we're pulling your ideas and your desires and your goals out of you, because that's part of the work. Like I said, we're not telling you what to do. We're helping guide you in a process of healthy thinking and making better decisions for yourself, and hopefully the best decisions for yourself. And so you got to make sure when you're sitting in that chair, it's about you, and you got to be committed to you. It starts there.
Eileen kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but what about, there's a stigma that goes along with therapy.
Absolutely.
There's people from another generation, maybe a couple ahead of us, that say, I am not going and telling some stranger my personal problems. They just can't get past that I'm sharing these intimate things with someone that doesn't know me and doesn't know our family.
That's when you wish you had a magic wand, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because you wish you could make everyone think that way.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think there's always going to be a pocket or a group of people that are going to fight against what this mission is about, and that is removing the stigma associated with mental health.
Right.
But for those who will listen, we're encouraging them to be courageous and to be vulnerable and to take the risk. Not only am I a therapist, but I have a therapist. And so it's
Right.
important for me that I'm taking care of myself. So it makes it more meaningful when I understand what goes into it.
And I think that's really interesting that you said you are a therapist and you go to see a therapist. I read a book, I think it's called When You Should Go and Talk to Someone, Lori Gottlieb. And it's a great book, but I think that if we just kind of all get over this stigma, there's if nothing else, you should be really proud of yourself for just making that first step.
Correct.
You gave us some great, we showed some great links for you to go to. I love psychologytoday.com, by the way, because you can literally go in.
Yes, has
You
an
can
awesome
go in
filter.
and you can filter everything that you want. Here are some of the other resources as well. And if people want to connect with you, how do they go about doing that?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at My Sailor Wellness.
All right.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great
Love
to
it.
meet you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll have more of Let's Talk Live right after the break. Stay with us.